Ndewo, my people. This is Dr. Fiola Onuorah. How's Oche Kitchen going on? I hope are all relaxed and catching up and gisting. I'm going to give us a bit of a reminder about, the importance of going for our annual physical checks. Now, why do we need to do this? We need to do this because there are lots of health conditions that are actually preventable. And keeping on top of these things makes a lot of difference on the long run. We're talking about conditions that are regarded as, silent killers. So these are conditions that don't give any symptoms or give little symptoms, things that we'll tend to ignore. But unfortunately, they're sort of building up in the system and can actually blow up and cause catastrophic, effects later on. We're talking about things like high blood pressure, diabetes, leading on to severe things like heart attacks and strokes, which can be quite debilitating or can even end up in death. And it's very annoying when you know that there are some things that could have been picked up earlier on and things that could have been done that might have actually prevented these things from occurring. So what happens when you go for a check? So in the UK, we have what's called the physical or NHS annual checks for people over 40. So you'll get an invitation by your doctor to come in, and what happens is that you have the baseline things done, which includes your height, your weight. We checked your BMI. Because obviously you know that things like obesity, being overweight, makes you prone to some conditions. You have your blood pressure done, so again, hypertension. Have your pulse checked, which also gives an idea if you're at risk of having some heart arrhythmias that can be looked into further. You then get booked in to have some blood tests done. So these are just some baseline routine blood tests. They check things like your blood sugar levels, which checks your risk for developing diabetes, and things like your cholesterol, cholesterol is the fatty stuff in your blood, and unfortunately this cholesterol, it tends to sort of like clog up your blood vessels, your arteries, and when it clogs them up, it causes obstruction, so blood doesn't flow that freely. And then when the blood is restricted to vital organs like your heart, you can end up with a heart attack, or to your brain, you can have a stroke. Sometimes these plaques, we call them plaques, sometimes they fall off from the lining of your blood vessels and they travel down, and they can go and actually cause a complete blockage. And then you hear that somebody has died, stroke, heart attack, stuff like that. So having these blood tests to know what your cholesterol levels are gives an idea whether, wow, it's a bit on the high side, you need to do something about it. And they're very, very simple things you can do. Just keeping an eye on your diet, losing weight, exercising, makes a lot of difference, stopping smoking, and all that. Again, another thing they check is your blood sugar, which checks for diabetes. We need to be very serious with diabetes, especially the other one that's called the type 2, which, can happen as we get older. And things that predispose us to diabetes, again, our diet, our weight, and unfortunately for those of us from Afro-Caribbean origin, we will tend to develop type 2 diabetes faster, and the devastating effects long term. You can lose your eyesight, you can lose your have problems with your feet, and so people end up getting amputations. Problems with your heart, problems with your kidneys. So these are actually serious health conditions that, like I said, if prevented, makes a lot of difference. And it's very annoying to hear that you had something like that, which could have been picked up sooner and all this, avoided. Other things that you don't have to do them yearly, like women, you need to have your smears done, your cervical smears, pap smear, to avoid cervical cancer, to monitor your risk or your chances of developing cervical cancer. Make sure you're up to date with vaccinations, especially if you're traveling. Travel health is important. STI screens every now and then makes a lot of difference. And then any questions you've got, always speak to your doctor, speak to your nurse. They're always there to help, give you advice, okay? And take care, keep safe, keep healthy, and all the best. Goodbye.